I arrived home from my engineering job to find my older sister Amanda and her husband Derek in the living room with my parents. My father Gerald immediately told me they needed my bedroom for Amanda and Derek, who were staying indefinitely. I had lived there for 2 years while saving for a house and helping with bills. My mother Patricia would not meet my eyes. Amanda smiled sweetly and suggested I take the unfinished storage room in the basement or find my own place by the weekend. I felt my world tilting sideways. I stood frozen in the living room, my laptop bag still hanging from my shoulder. The silence stretched out like pulled taffy, thick and uncomfortable. I kept waiting for someone to laugh, to tell me this was some bizarre joke. Nobody did. My father cleared his throat. He was sitting in his recliner, the same spot he had occupied every evening for the past 20 years. Amanda was perched on the edge of the sofa, her posture perfect, her smile never wavering. Derek lounged beside her, one arm draped casually across the back of the cushions. My mother hovered near the doorway to the kitchen, wringing her hands. I found my voice. It came out rougher than I intended. What is going on? Why does Amanda need my room? Gerald leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. Your sister needs family support right now. She is going through a difficult time, and we are going to be here for her. That is what families do. I glanced at Amanda. She looked nothing like someone going through a difficult time. Her hair was professionally styled, glossy and perfect. She wore a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. Diamond studs glinted in her ears. What kind of difficult time? Amanda's smile tightened, just a fraction. That is between me and Mom and Dad. It is family business. I live here too. I pay $800 a month rent, plus utilities and groceries. Does not that make me part of this family business? My mother finally spoke, her voice small and strained. Mark, please do not make this harder than it needs to be. Amanda is our daughter, and she needs us right now. And I am your son. I have been here for 2 years, helping keep this house afloat after Dad's hours got cut at the plant. Gerald's face flushed red. We did not ask you to do that. You did not have to ask. I saw the mortgage statements on the counter. I saw Mom crying over the bills. I stepped up because that is what families do, right? Derek spoke for the first time, his voice smooth and condescending. Mark, you are almost 30 years old. Most men your age have their own places. Maybe this is just the push you need to finally grow up. The words hit me like a slap. I looked at my father, waiting for him to defend me. He said nothing. I looked at my mother. She turned away. I need 2 weeks to find an apartment. That is reasonable. Gerald shook his head. The weekend is plenty of time. There are apartments all over Philadelphia. You can find something by Saturday. But I cannot afford first month, last month, and security deposit that quickly. My savings are for a house down payment. Amanda stood up, smoothing her expensive sweater. Well, maybe you should have been more financially responsible instead of living with your parents at your age. She walked past me toward the stairs. Derek and I are going to settle in. It has been a long drive from the airport. She climbed the stairs like she owned the place. Derek followed, shooting me a look I could not quite read. Triumph, maybe, or amusement. I turned back to my parents. You are seriously kicking me out with 3 days' notice? We are not kicking you out, Patricia said, but her voice lacked conviction. You can stay in the storage room if you want. We just need your bedroom for Amanda and Derek. The storage room. Right. Let me go look at my new accommodations. I went downstairs to the basement, my footsteps heavy on the wooden steps. The storage room was exactly as I remembered from the last time I had retrieved Christmas decorations. Concrete floor, cold and slightly damp. Exposed pipes running across the ceiling. Boxes stacked everywhere, filled with decades of accumulated junk. A single light bulb hung from a wire. There was one tiny window near the ceiling, barely big enough for a cat to squeeze through. My father appeared behind me. You could make it work. Get an air mattress, clear out some of these boxes. It would be temporary. I looked at him. really looked at him. His hair had gone mostly gray in the past 2 years. Lines creased his forehead and bracketed his mouth. He could not hold my gaze. "How long is temporary?" He shrugged. "As long as Amanda needs." "And how long is that?" Another shrug. "I do not know, Mark. A few weeks, maybe longer. She is having a rough time." "With what?" "What is actually going on? That is between us and Amanda." I pulled out my phone and opened an apartment search app. The cheapest studio in a decent neighborhood was $1,400 a month. First month, last month, security deposit. That was $4,200. I had $8,000 saved. Half my down payment fund, gone in an instant. I looked at listings for an hour that night, lying on the couch that had become my temporary bed. My parents had gone upstairs. I could hear movement in my former bedroom directly above me. Footsteps, voices, the sound of drawers opening and closing. Amanda was already making herself at home. Around midnight, I heard arguing. I crept to the bottom of the stairs and listened. The voices were muffled, but distinct. Amanda hissing, "Just a few weeks, then we are set. They will not figure it out." Derek, his tone annoyed. "You better be right. I am not staying in this dump long." Amanda, "My parents are easy to manipulate. Mark is the only problem, and he will be gone by Saturday." Derek, "What if he makes trouble?" Amanda, "He will not. He is too nice, too eager to please. He always has been. That is why this will work." I stood there in the darkness, my heart pounding. This was not about family support. This was not about Amanda needing help. They were running some kind of scheme, and my parents were the targets. And I was being removed because I was in the way. I went back to the couch, but I did not sleep. I spent the rest of the night staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around me, trying to figure out what Amanda and Derek were really doing here. Friday morning arrived gray and cold. I called in sick to work, the first time I had done so in 2 years. My supervisor sounded concerned, told me to take care of myself. I felt guilty lying to him, but I had bigger problems. I started calling apartments. The first 3 were already rented. The 4th was in a neighborhood my coworker had once described as where cars go to get stripped. The 5th was above a bar that apparently hosted live music until 2 in the morning every weekend. The 6th call was to a studio apartment in a converted warehouse. The landlord, a woman named Mrs. Patterson, had a kind voice. She agreed to meet me within the hour. The apartment was small but clean. One large room with a kitchenette along one wall and a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. But it had good light from tall windows, and the building seemed solid. Mrs. Patterson studied me as I looked around. "You seem stressed, honey. Everything okay?" "Family situation. I need to move out quickly." She nodded like she understood. "I can waive 1 month's rent if you sign a year lease and pay 3 months up front. That would be $4,200 total. My entire savings cushion, gone. But what choice did I have? I pulled out my checkbook with shaking hands and wrote the check. Mrs. Patterson handed me the keys and a lease to sign. I scrawled my name, wondering if I was making a terrible mistake. When I got back to my parents' house, Amanda's car was gone. So was my mother's. I checked social media and saw Amanda had posted a photo from an upscale boutique downtown. The caption read, "Shopping with Mom. Family time is the best time." Heart emoji. My father was at work. That left Derek alone in the house. I went upstairs to pack. My bedroom door was open. Derek sat at my desk, hunched over my computer, his fingers flying across the keyboard. He did not notice me at first. "What are you doing?" He jumped, actually jumped, then recovered quickly. "Just checking my email. My laptop's battery died. That is my computer. My personal computer." Derek shrugged, closing windows rapidly. "Sorry, man. I did not think you would mind." I minded. I minded a lot. But Derek was already standing, moving away from the desk. I noticed him palm something small, slipping it into his pocket. A USB drive, maybe. "You know, You could be a little more welcoming, Derek said. Amanda is going through a really tough time, and your attitude is not helping. What tough time? Nobody will tell me what is actually going on. Derek smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. That is because it is none of your business. Family matters. Real family. Not someone who just happens to live here while mooching off his parents. The insult was calculated, designed to hurt. It worked. I wanted to hit him, wanted to throw him out of my room, out of this house. Instead, I pulled out my suitcase and started throwing clothes into it. Derek watched for a moment, then said casually, "You know, if you try to cause problems for us, it will not end well for you. Just some friendly advice." "Is that a threat?" He held up his hands in mock surrender. "Just looking out for you, brother. Sometimes it is better to walk away." He left the room. I stood there, pulse racing, then went to my desk. My computer was still on. The browser history had been cleared, but that told me enough. Derek had been looking at something he did not want me to see. I started checking my belongings. My external backup drive, the one with all our family photos, was gone from the desk drawer. So were my old tax documents. My college diploma was missing from the wall. I searched everywhere, growing more frantic. Gone. All of it. I pulled out my phone and took pictures of the empty spaces, the open drawer, everything. Evidence. Of what? I was not sure yet, but I knew I would need it. Packing took 2 hours. I could only take what would fit in my car. My furniture, my books, my entire life, for the past 2 years had to stay behind. I loaded box after box, feeling like I was erasing myself from this house. My parents came home while I was loading the last box. My mother got out of the car carrying shopping bags. Amanda followed, wearing a new outfit that probably cost more than my rent. Gerald pulled up 10 minutes later. He walked over to where I was closing my trunk. He pulled out his wallet and extracted a check. $500. "For the inconvenience," he said. I looked at the check, then at him. "I do not want your money. I want to know what is really happening." "Nothing is happening. Amanda needs her family right now, and you are making everything difficult." Amanda appeared beside us, her face arranged in concern. "Mark, I know this is hard, but you are doing the right thing. Growing up is hard, but it is necessary." I noticed her purse, Louis Vuitton, probably $3,000. Her shoes, Louboutin, maybe $800. Her jewelry, designer, everything. For someone who needed family support, she was doing well. "What are you really doing here, Amanda?" Her expression flickered. For just a second, I saw something behind the mask. Fear, panic. Then it smoothed away. Supporting our parents, something you clearly never learned. Derek joined her, putting his arm around her waist. "You should go, Mark, before this gets uglier." I got in my car. I looked back at the house where I had lived for 2 years, at the parents who had chosen my sister over me without even asking my side of things. Amanda waved, her smile brilliant and false. I drove away. 2 blocks later, my phone buzzed. Credit monitoring alert. Someone had attempted to open a credit card in my name. The application originated from my parents' address. Timestamp. 2 hours ago, while I was looking at apartments. I pulled over, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. The pieces clicked together. Derek on my computer. My documents missing. Amanda's expensive lifestyle. The overhead conversation about them being set. They were committing identity fraud. And my parents' house was their base of operations. I sat in my car, staring at the credit alert on my phone screen. My first instinct was to call my parents, to warn them. But would they believe me? They had chosen Amanda's word over mine at every turn. I called the credit card company instead. The representative was sympathetic, but firm. Yes, someone had applied for a card in my name. No, it had not been approved yet because of security flags. Yes, I should file a police report. Should I? These were my family members. My sister. Could I really send the police to my parents' house? I drove to my new studio apartment. It looked smaller than I remembered. Emptier. I unloaded my belongings, stacking boxes against the bare walls. My furniture was still at my parents' house. I had nowhere to sit, nowhere to sleep, except the floor. I ordered pizza and ate it sitting cross-legged on the hardwood, scrolling through my phone. I pulled up Amanda's social media going back months. Her posts told a story. Up until 3 months ago, her life looked perfect. Photos of expensive restaurants in Seattle, trips to wine country, designer shopping halls, Derek in a suit at some tech industry gala. Then, 3 months ago, the posts changed. Still frequent, but different, more staged. The photos were taken at home instead of out and about. Her captions became generic. Family is everything. Grateful for the simple things. Counting my blessings. I searched for Derek. His LinkedIn profile listed him as CEO of a tech startup called Innovate Tech Solutions. But when I clicked on the company website, I got an error message. Domain expired. I dug deeper. Found a news article from 8 months ago in a Seattle business journal. Innovate Tech Solutions folds after investor dispute. The article was sparse on details, but it mentioned investors losing millions. Derek's name appeared multiple times. The article ended with a line about potential civil litigation. So Derek's company had crashed. He had investors angry enough to sue, and now he and Amanda were here, in my parents' house, trying to open credit cards in my name. My phone rang. Mom. I almost did not answer. Her voice sounded strained. Mark, honey, how are you settling in? Fine. The apartment is fine. Good. That is good. She paused, and I heard voices in the background. Look, I wanted to apologize for how abrupt everything was. We should have given you more time. Why does Amanda really need help, Mom? Another pause. She is going through some things with Derek. Marriage troubles, I think. She does not want to talk about it. Did you know Derek's business failed? Silence. Then, how do you know about that? It is public record, Mom. There are articles about it. His investors are suing him. Mark, I do not think you should be digging into your sister's private business. My private business includes someone trying to open credit cards in my name. From your address. I heard her sharp intake of breath. What are you talking about? Check your computer history. Check what Derek has been accessing. Check your financial accounts. Mark, you are being paranoid. Amanda would never do anything to hurt this family. I heard Amanda's voice in the background, sharp and commanding. Hang up, Mom. The line went dead. An hour later, my email pinged. A message from a law firm. Clayton Burke, attorney at law, Seattle, Washington. The subject line read, Cease and desist. My hands went cold as I opened it. The letter accused me of harassment, of making false and defamatory statements about Amanda and Derek, of interfering with their privacy and causing them emotional distress. It threatened a restraining order if I contacted them or my parents again. I read it 3 times, my disbelief growing with each pass. They had anticipated my moves. They had gotten ahead of the story. If I went to the police now, I would look like a bitter, unstable son making wild accusations. I looked up Clayton Burke, real attorney, Seattle-based. His website listed his specialties: white-collar criminal defense, fraud cases, civil litigation. This was not some random lawyer. This was someone who defended people accused of financial crimes, which meant Amanda and Derek had hired him before they even came to Philadelphia. They had planned this. They knew there would be accusations, knew there would be pushback. They had built their defense before committing the crime. I was trapped. If I stayed silent, they would steal my identity and probably drain my parents' accounts. If I fought back, I would be arrested for violating a cease and desist order. I sat on the floor of my empty apartment, surrounded by boxes, and felt utterly alone. Wednesday morning, I dragged myself out of the sleeping bag I had bought at a discount store. My back ached from sleeping on the floor. I had not slept more than 2 hours. jumping at every sound in the unfamiliar building. My phone buzzed. My boss. I need you to come in this morning. We need to talk. My stomach dropped. I showered quickly in the cramped bathroom and drove to work, dreading what was coming. My boss, Frank, was a decent guy. He had always been fair with me. But when I walked into his office, his expression was troubled. Close the door, Mark. I sat down. What is going on? Someone filed a complaint with HR. It is anonymous, but it alleges you have been making threats and behaving erratically. The complaint mentions a family situation that has you unstable. That is not true. I can explain. Frank held up his hand. I believe you. I have worked with you for 5 years, and I have never seen you be anything but professional. But HR has protocols. They need to investigate. I am putting you on paid leave until this gets sorted out. For how long? A few days, maybe a week. Just until we can interview everyone involved and get statements. I felt the walls closing in. Amanda and Derek had called my workplace. They were systematically cutting me off from everything. I need this job, Frank. I know. And it will be fine. Just go home, relax, and let HR do their thing. It will blow over. But it would not blow over. Amanda and Derek were building a narrative. Unstable brother, making false accusations, history of harassment. By the time they were done, nobody would believe anything I said. I went back to my apartment, checked my bank account. My direct deposit paycheck had not come through. I called payroll. They said all payments were frozen, pending the HR investigation. I had $300 in my checking account. Rent was due in 2 weeks. I sat on my air mattress, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what to do next. My phone buzzed with a Facebook message from someone I did not know. J. Patterson. I know what your sister is doing. We need to talk. Coffee at Redstone Cafe, 2 this afternoon. Come alone. My first thought was trap. My second thought was I had nothing left to lose. I arrived at Redstone Cafe 15 minutes early. Scoped out the exits, watched the other customers. I was jumpy, paranoid, but maybe that was justified. A woman approached my table at exactly 2. She was in her mid-40s, dressed professionally, carrying a briefcase. She sat down without asking permission. Mark? I am Janet Patterson. I am a forensic accountant. She slid a business card across the table. Patterson and Associates, Financial Investigation Services. Why are you contacting me? Because your sister and her husband are on my radar. They have been for 2 months. I represent 3 clients in Seattle who lost money to Derek's company. When Amanda and Derek fled to Philadelphia, I followed their trail. I found you through property records at your parents' address. She opened her briefcase and pulled out a folder. Inside were documents, photographs, bank statements. She spread them across the table. Derek and Amanda have been running identity theft schemes for at least 18 months. They target people who will not report them immediately. Family members, elderly people, vulnerable individuals. They have stolen over $80,000 in the past 6 months alone. I stared at the evidence. Credit card statements in names I did not recognize. Loan applications. Forged signatures. They are professionals, Janet continued. They move fast. They are always 3 steps ahead, and they are very good at manipulation. But they make mistakes. They leave trails. And I am very good at following trails. Why are you telling me this? Because I need your help. My clients can sue for their losses, but that takes years. If we can build a criminal case, we can stop them now, before they hurt more people. What do you need from me? I need you to get evidence. You have access to your parents' house. You know their patterns. I need documents, recordings, anything that proves what they are doing. I have a cease and desist letter. If I go near them, they will have me arrested. Janet smiled grimly. That letter is intimidation, not law. You have not actually done anything illegal. They are counting on you being too scared to act. Don't be. She pulled out a small device from her briefcase. Recording pen. Put it in your shirt pocket, turn it on, and it will record everything. Get them talking. Get them to admit what they are doing. And if they catch me, then you will be in trouble. But if you do nothing, your parents will lose everything. And Amanda and Derek will move on to their next victims. I took the recording pen. It was heavier than I expected. We talked for another hour. Janet showed me what to look for, how to document without breaking any laws, how to protect myself legally. When we finally left the cafe, I felt like I had a plan. Not a good plan, but something. As I walked to my car, I saw Derek's rental parked across the street. He was sitting in the driver's seat, phone in hand, pointed at me, taking photos. My blood ran cold. Janet saw him too. Her expression did not change. He is building a counter-narrative. They will claim you are conspiring against them. Derek pulled away slowly, making sure we saw him leave. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Bad choice, little brother. You should have stayed out of it. Janet's face was grim. This just got more dangerous. They know you are not backing down. I looked at the recording pen in my hand. What choice did I have? I could run, or I could fight. And I was tired of running. Thursday dragged by like a wounded animal. I paced my studio apartment, rehearsing what I would say, how I would approach my parents. The recording pen sat on my makeshift table, a small black cylinder that weighed like lead in my mind. At 3 p.m, my mother called. I almost did not answer. Her voice was thick with tears. Mark, please. You have to stop this. Amanda showed me proof that you hired someone to lie about Derek. Some investigator woman. Why are you doing this to our family? Mom, that woman is trying to help. Derek and Amanda are running a scam. Stop it. Just stop. Your father does not want to hear from you until you apologize to your sister and admit you made all this up. I did not make anything up. Check your bank accounts. Check your credit cards. Please, just look. She hung up. I stood there holding the phone, feeling the distance between us growing into a chasm I might never cross again. I had to act now. Before they poisoned my parents completely against me. Before they finished whatever they were planning. At 6 that evening, I drove to my parents' house, parked down the street where my car would not be immediately visible. I watched the house for 30 minutes. At 6:20, Derek's rental car pulled out of the driveway. Amanda was in the passenger seat. They drove off heading downtown. Just my parents should be home now. I walked to the front door. My hands were shaking as I knocked. My father answered. His face went hard when he saw me. You are not welcome here. Dad, please. 5 minutes. I need to show you something. My mother appeared behind him. Mark, you need to leave. Just listen. Please. I pulled out my phone, opened the credit monitoring app. Someone tried to open credit cards in my name. Look at the application origin. Your address. My father barely glanced at it. Amanda said you would do something like this. Fake evidence to make them look bad. Why would I destroy my own credit to frame them? He hesitated. Just a flicker of doubt crossed his face. Let me show you something else. I pulled up the news article about Derek's failed company. His investors are suing him. He is broke. They are both broke, and they are using your house to commit fraud. My mother was crying. Amanda said you faked all of this. She said you are working with criminals to destroy her marriage. Check your bank accounts. Right now. Check for any transactions you did not authorize. My father's expression shifted slightly. From anger to uncertainty. I need to see my old room. I need to prove Derek stole my documents. He stood blocking the doorway for a long moment. Then, with visible reluctance, he stepped aside. We walked upstairs together. My mother followed. The hallway felt longer than it should, each step heavy with dread. My father opened the door to what used to be my bedroom. I stopped in the doorway, unable to process what I was seeing. The walls were painted a different color, soft gray instead of the blue I had chosen. New furniture filled the space. A queen bed with an expensive-looking headboard, matching nightstands. A dresser I had never seen before. Artwork on the walls. Every trace of me was gone. Erased. Like I had never lived there at all. Where are my things? My boxes, my furniture, my books. Your mother and I moved them to the basement storage, my father said. Amanda needed the space to feel comfortable. I searched desperately. Opened the closet. Amanda's clothes hung in neat rows. Opened the dresser drawers. Her belongings, perfectly organized. Checked under the bed. Nothing. My documents. The external hard drive. My college diploma. Where are they? Probably in the storage room with everything else. No, they were in this room. Derek took them. I saw him. Mark, you are being paranoid, my mother said. But her voice wavered. We heard the front door open downstairs. Voices. Amanda and Derek were back early. Mom? Dad? We brought dinner. Amanda's cheerful voice floated up the stairs. Then footsteps, quick and light. She appeared in the doorway and froze when she saw me. Her expression transformed in an instant. From surprise to fury to theatrical fear. What is he doing here? You let him in? After everything I told you? Derek appeared behind her, phone already out. I am calling the police. This is harassment and trespassing. You violated the cease and desist. Now wait just a minute, my father started, but Amanda cut him off. She was crying now, real tears streaming down her face. He is trying to destroy our family. He showed you those fake documents, did not he? Did not I tell you he would do this? My mother put her arm around Amanda. It is okay, sweetheart. We are here. Derek was talking to the police dispatcher, his voice urgent and frightened. Yes, my brother-in-law is here. He has been stalking us. We have a cease and desist letter. We feel threatened. Please send someone right away. Dad, please. I tried one more time. They are lying to you. They are stealing from you. That is enough, my father said. His voice was flat, final. You need to leave. 2 police officers arrived within minutes. Derek met them at the door, cease and desist letter in hand. Amanda stood with our parents, her face buried in our mother's shoulder, sobbing. Officers, this is my wife's brother. He has been harassing us for days, making wild accusations. We got a cease and desist from our attorney, but he will not stop. We are afraid of what he might do. The older officer looked at me. Sir, is this true? Do you have a cease and desist order? Yes, but they are committing identity theft. They are using this house to commit fraud. Do you have proof of these allegations? I showed them my phone, the credit monitoring alerts, the article about Derek's failed company. They looked at it, their expressions carefully neutral. Derek produced documents from his briefcase. Our attorney's contact information if you need to verify the cease and desist. Bank statements showing our legitimate accounts. A rental agreement for the room we are staying in, signed by my in-laws. He had an answer for everything. A paper trail that made him look legitimate and made me look unstable. Sir, you need to leave the property, the younger officer said to me. If you return, you can be arrested for trespassing, but they are stealing from my parents. Your parents are right here. Have they filed any complaints? I looked at my father. He would not meet my eyes. My mother was still comforting Amanda. No, the older officer said, answering his own question. No complaints. So you need to leave. Now. They walked me out to my car, stood there watching as I got in, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw Amanda standing on the porch, watching me leave. Even from a distance, I could see her smile. My phone buzzed. Text from Amanda. You lose, little brother. Should have taken the storage room. Then another text from an unknown number. They filed for a restraining order tonight. You are done. I pulled over 3 blocks away, hands shaking so hard I could barely hold the steering wheel. My phone rang. Janet. I was monitoring police scanners. I heard about the call to your parents' house. Are you okay? They erased everything. My parents do not believe me. I have nothing. Mark, listen carefully. While you were in that house, did you have the recording device on? Yes, but they were too careful. Derek controlled the whole situation. I did not get them admitting anything. Janet was quiet for a moment. Then, we have a bigger problem. I got a tip from my office an hour ago. They are taking out a home equity line of credit on your parents' house. $200,000. The application went through this afternoon. My parents would never agree to that. They would not have a choice. Forged signatures. By the time your parents find out, the money will be gone and the house will be in foreclosure. When? The loan closes tomorrow. Friday morning. We have less than 24 hours. Thursday night. Bled into Friday morning in my studio apartment. Janet arrived at 11 with her investigator, Ray Torres. He was a compact man in his 50s with tired eyes and steady hands. He spread documents across my floor while Janet paced, thinking out loud. The loan closes at 10 this morning at First Liberty Bank downtown. Someone claiming to be your father will appear with forged documents. Once the money transfers, it is nearly impossible to recover. They will wire it offshore, within hours. But my father would never sign for that. He is careful with money. He does not know he signed it. Janet showed me a document. A loan application. My father's signature at the bottom. It looked perfect. Derek has a partner. Ray pulled up a photo on his tablet. Scott Fleming, professional forger. Used to be a notary public before he lost his license. He has been traveling with Derek for 2 years, facilitating fraud in 6 states. He is here, in Philadelphia, flew in 3 days ago, staying at a motel near the airport. We need to call the police, I said. And tell them what? Janet's voice was gentle but firm. We have theories. We have circumstantial evidence. But we do not have proof of an active crime. By the time police investigate, the money is gone. So what do we do? Ray answered. We catch them in the act. I will photograph and record everything from the bank. You will confront Derek and get him to incriminate himself on tape. I have a restraining order filed against me. Not finalized yet, Janet said. It takes 10 days to process. Right now, it is just paperwork. If Derek calls the cops, I am done. Then make it count. Get him to admit what he is doing before he can call anyone. We left my apartment at 7:30. Drove downtown in Ray's van. He had professional camera equipment set up in the back. We parked across the street from First Liberty Bank with a clear view of the entrance. We waited. At 9:15, Derek's rental car pulled into the parking lot. Derek got out. So did another man I had never seen before. Mid-40s, average height, carrying a leather briefcase. He walked, like someone trying not to be noticed. That is Scott Fleming, Ray confirmed. He was already photographing them. They entered the bank. Through the glass doors, I could see them approach a desk. A loan officer stood to greet them. They sat down. Documents came out of the briefcase. Janet's hand on my shoulder. Now, go. I got out of the van, crossed the street. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. The recording device was active in my jacket pocket. My phone was recording video in my other pocket. I pushed through the bank doors. Derek and Scott were at a desk with a middle-aged woman in a business suit. Papers spread between them. Derek was signing something. I walked straight to the desk. Derek, we need to talk. Derek's head snapped up. His face went pale, then red. What the hell are you doing here? I have a restraining order. His voice was loud enough that other customers turned to look. The loan officer looked alarmed. That is my father's signature you are forging. The loan officer stood up quickly. Excuse me? What is going on? Derek recovered fast, his expression shifting to concerned and slightly frightened. This is my brother-in-law. He has been harassing my family. He is mentally unstable. I am calling the police right now. He pulled out his phone. But I was watching Scott. Scott was gathering the documents, trying to stuff them back into his briefcase. Call my father, I said loudly. Right now. Ask him if he is here signing loan documents. Derek hesitated. It was barely a second, but the loan officer saw it. She saw the uncertainty flash across his face. "Sir, is there a problem with this application?" "No problem at all." Derek was dialing. "My father-in-law can confirm everything." The phone rang on speaker. My father answered. "Hello? Gerald, it is Derek. I am at the bank with the loan officer. Can you confirm you authorized the home equity loan?" Silence. Then my father's voice, confused and wary. "What loan? What are you talking about?" "The home equity line of credit. For $200,000. You signed the application." "Derek, I did not sign anything. Where are you? What is going on?" More silence. Derek's face had gone from red to gray. He hung up. The loan officer sat down slowly. "Sir, I think we need to pause this process." "No." Derek's voice was sharp. "This is a misunderstanding. Let me call him back." Scott was already moving toward the door. "I am leaving, Derek. This is not worth it." I stepped in front of him. "You are not going anywhere." Scott tried to push past me. We collided. His briefcase fell, spilling documents across the bank floor. Loan applications, all with different names, different addresses, all with my father's signature at the bottom. The loan officer picked one up. Her face changed as she read it. "I am calling security." Derek bolted. He made it 3 steps before Ray appeared in the doorway, blocking his exit. Ray was smaller than Derek, but he moved like someone who knew how to handle himself. Derek bounced off him and stumbled back. Security arrived. Then police, probably called by Derek before I even entered the bank. 2 officers, looking confused at the scene before them. Janet walked in behind them, her briefcase in hand. "Officers, I am Janet Patterson, forensic accountant with Patterson and Associates. I have been investigating Derek Morrison and Scott Fleming for financial fraud across 6 states. I believe you just prevented a $200,000 theft." She started pulling documents from her briefcase. Evidence files, bank statements, complaint records from Seattle. The police officers looked at each other. Derek was pulling out his phone again. "I am calling my lawyer. You cannot hold me. This is entrapment." But Scott was done. He sat down on the floor, head in his hands. "I want a deal. I will tell you everything. Derek paid me $5,000 to notarize forged documents. This is the 8th house we have hit. Amanda scouts the targets. Derek builds the relationship, and I handle the paperwork." Derek's face was pure fury. "Shut up. Do not say another word." Scott kept talking. He told everything. Every detail, every victim, every forged signature. The police officers were writing furiously. My phone rang. "Amanda." I answered on speaker. "What did you do?" Her voice was high and panicked. "Where is Derek?" "He is being arrested for fraud. You do not understand. We owe people money. Dangerous people. We needed this. You were going to destroy our parents. They would have been fine. We would have paid them back eventually. You are lying. You have never paid anyone back. You are a con artist, Amanda. Just like Derek." Background noise on her end. Shouting. My father's voice, loud and angry. "What loan? Amanda, what is Mark talking about?" Amanda's voice broke, all pretense gone. "He is lying, Daddy. Tell me he is lying. Please." My father's response was quiet, but I heard every word. "Get out of my house." The call ended. I stood in the bank, surrounded by police and security guards and scattered documents. Derek was in handcuffs. Scott was still talking, confessing to everything, hoping for a deal. Janet put her hand on my shoulder. "You did it. You stopped them." But I did not feel victorious. I felt hollowed out, exhausted. My sister was a criminal. My parents had chosen her over me. My family was shattered beyond repair, and I had no idea how to put any of it back together. Friday afternoon, I sat in a police station conference room that smelled like burnt coffee and old paperwork. Detective Sarah Williams asked me the same questions 5 different ways, taking notes on everything. Janet sat beside me, occasionally clarifying legal points. Derek Morrison was being processed in another room. Scott Fleming had already given a full confession, naming Amanda as an equal participant in the scheme. Warrants were being issued. The evidence was overwhelming. Scott had kept records, copies of every forged document, every victim, every bank account they had drained. He had been planning his own exit strategy, building his insurance policy against the day Derek and Amanda inevitably betrayed him. Derek had stolen identities from 7 people besides me. Total take over 18 months, $312,000. Some of it had gone to pay off Derek's debts from the failed startup. The rest had funded their lifestyle and paid off loan sharks Derek had borrowed from when his business first started collapsing. Derek was being charged with identity theft, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit grand larceny, and forgery. The charges would put him away for 8 to 15 years if convicted. Amanda faced the same charges. She was still at large, but police had put out a warrant. "You are free to go," Detective Williams said finally. "We will need you to testify when this goes to trial. Can we count on you?" "Yes. Whatever you need." Janet drove me back to my apartment. We did not talk much. What was there to say? I had saved my parents from financial ruin, but I had destroyed what was left of my family in the process. At 6 that evening, I sat in my car outside my parents' house, building courage. After 30 minutes, I walked to the door, knocked. My mother opened it. Her eyes were swollen and red. She did not say anything. She just pulled me into a hug and held on like she was drowning. Inside, my father sat at the kitchen table. The house was silent. All of Amanda and Derek's belongings were gone. My father looked up when I came in. He looked older somehow, like the day had aged him years. "I owe you an apology," he said. His voice cracked, an apology that words cannot cover. My mother was crying. "We believed her. She is our daughter, and we just believed everything she told us." I sat down across from him. "What happened after I left this morning?" Amanda came back to the house around noon. She tried to pack and leave. Your mother confronted her. Amanda denied everything at first. Then the police called to tell us about Derek's arrest. Amanda broke down. She admitted some of it, tried to blame Derek for all of it, said she was a victim too, that he manipulated her. But she was not a victim, my mother said. The police showed us the evidence. She planned everything with him. She chose targets. She was not forced into anything. How long had she been here? Before you told me? My father looked ashamed. 6 weeks. She came to us, said she and Derek were having marriage trouble, asked to stay for a while. We let her. We gave her access to everything. The house, our computers, our documents. 3 weeks later, they told us you needed to leave. We went along with it because she said it would be easier to work on their marriage without you here. The truth settled over me like a weight. I lost my savings because of this. I got suspended from work. I almost lost everything. We know. My mother's voice was small. We have no excuse. We chose to believe her over you without even asking your side. We let her turn us against you. Why? My father met my eyes finally. Because it was easier than admitting our daughter had become a criminal. Easier than facing the truth about who she really was. We took the coward's way out, and you paid the price. We sat in silence. The kitchen clock ticked. Outside, a car drove past. The police said Amanda and Derek stole $12,000 from your savings account, my father said finally. Forged checks, online transfers. We did not even notice until today. They almost got into our retirement fund too. If you had not stopped that loan, we would have lost the house. We would have been ruined. The weight of what almost happened hung in the air between us. Your room is still yours, my mother said. Please, come home. I looked around the kitchen where I had eaten breakfast for 2 years. The house that had stopped feeling like home the moment I was kicked out. I need time. I cannot just come back and pretend nothing happened. My father nodded. We will earn back your trust, however long it takes. They offered to pay my rent for 6 months, help me rebuild my savings. I almost refused. Pride, hurt feelings, anger, but practicality won. I had $300 to my name and rent due in a week. I accepted. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of police statements and legal proceedings. Amanda was arrested trying to board a flight to Mexico using a fake ID. She was extradited back to Philadelphia, held without bail as a flight risk. Derek and Amanda's preliminary hearing was set for a week later. I sat in the courtroom gallery, watching them led in wearing orange jumpsuits and handcuffs. Amanda looked smaller somehow, diminished. She scanned the courtroom and her eyes found mine. I saw no apology there, just resentment. The evidence against them was overwhelming. The prosecutor laid out the pattern of fraud, spanning 18 months, 7 victims, multiple states, hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen. The judge set trial for 6 months out. My work suspension was lifted after HR reviewed the full situation. My boss Frank called me personally. Turns out the anonymous complaint had come from a phone number registered to Derek. Frank apologized for not supporting me better. I told him I understood. He had followed protocol. Sometimes protocol fails the good people, but that does not mean protocol is wrong. My credit was repaired through police reports documenting the fraud. The black marks came off my record. I started rebuilding. I had Sunday dinners with my parents. It was awkward at first. Conversations stilted, long silences. But gradually, we found our way back to something resembling family. Not what we had been. Something different. Something more honest, maybe. My father started seeing a therapist, working through his guilt about failing to protect me. My mother volunteered with a fraud victim support group, trying to turn her pain into something useful. I did not move back into their house. The studio apartment had become mine, small and sparse, but mine. A space I had claimed when everything else was taken from me. 3 months after Derek's arrest, I was at the courthouse for his plea hearing. His lawyer had negotiated a deal. 8 years in federal prison in exchange for pleading guilty and cooperating with investigators trying to track down the stolen money. Derek stood before the judge, read a prepared statement, accepting responsibility. The words sounded empty, rehearsed. When the judge asked if he had anything else to say, Derek was quiet for a moment. Then, "I am sorry for the people I hurt. I was desperate, and I made terrible choices." The judge sentenced him to 8 years. He would serve at least 6 with good behavior. Amanda refused to plead. She insisted she was a victim of Derek's manipulation, that she had not known what he was doing, that she was innocent. Her trial was set for 2 months later. I was subpoenaed to testify. Meanwhile, Janet Patterson's firm offered me a job. They were building a department to help families recover from identity theft and financial fraud. They needed someone who understood the victim's perspective, someone who had lived through it. The pay was better than my engineering job. The work felt meaningful in a way designing machine parts never had. I accepted. Over the next few months, I helped 3 other families navigate similar situations. Parents whose children had stolen their identities. Elderly couples scammed by caretakers. Each case was different, but the pain was the same. The betrayal by people who should have been trustworthy. I learned I was good at this work, good at listening, good at explaining the legal process, good at helping people find their strength when everything felt hopeless. Amanda's trial lasted 2 weeks. I testified on day 3. Her lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, as someone with an axe to grind against his sister. But the evidence did not care about family dynamics. The forged documents, the stolen money, the pattern of victims. Amanda was convicted on 7 counts of identity theft, 5 counts of fraud, and conspiracy. She was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison. I sat in the courtroom as the sentence was read. Amanda cried. Our mother cried. Our father sat stone-faced, holding Mom's hand. Amanda was led away. She looked back once. Our eyes met. I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction. Just sadness for the family we could have been, if she had made different choices. 6 months after everything began, I attended a restitution hearing. The court ordered Derek and Amanda to pay back their victims. The amount was staggering. $386,000. They would be paying it off for decades, probably longer than their prison sentences. My restitution was $8,000. The amount they had indirectly cost me in savings, plus court costs and legal fees. I would probably never see most of it, but the judgment felt like something. An acknowledgement that what they did was wrong, that I had been harmed. Life slowly normalized. I settled into my work with Janet's firm, helped more families, built a reputation as someone who understood financial fraud from both the legal and personal side. My parents and I rebuilt our relationship slowly. We had dinner every Sunday, talked about work, about life, about everything except Amanda. She was a hole in our family, a person-shaped absence we all felt but nobody mentioned. 8 months after Amanda's arrest, I stood in my old bedroom at my parents' house. They had offered it back to me. I could move home, save money again, rebuild my down payment fund. I looked around the room. Fresh paint covered Amanda's gray walls. My old furniture had been retrieved from storage and put back. My books were on the shelves, my diploma back on the wall. They had tried to restore it exactly as it had been. But I was not the same person who had lived in this room. That person had been naive, trusting, willing to put family above everything else. That person was gone. I am okay where I am, I told my parents. The studio is small, but it is mine. I am not ready to come back yet. My father nodded. He understood. Someday, maybe, when you are ready. I started dating someone I met through work. Sarah was a victim advocate, smart and kind, and damaged in some of the same ways I was. We understood each other's scars. Life moved forward. It was different from what I had imagined it would be, smaller in some ways, bigger in others. I had lost my savings, my naive trust, my intact family, but I had gained something too. Strength, maybe. Self-reliance. The knowledge that I could survive betrayal and come out the other side. I created a training video for Janet's firm, a resource for other fraud victims. I recorded it in our office conference room, speaking directly to the camera. When the people closest to you betray you, it feels like the world is ending. They will make you doubt yourself. They will isolate you. They will try to convince you that you are the problem. But trust your instincts. Document everything. Do not fight alone. Find people who believe you and hold on to them. Remember that their betrayal says everything about them and nothing about your worth. You deserve better. You deserve the truth, and you are stronger than you know. If I could survive my family's betrayal, you can survive yours. Do not give up. Keep fighting. You are worth fighting for. The video was shared thousands of times. I got emails from strangers thanking me, telling me their stories, asking for advice. Each one reminded me that I was not alone. That family betrayal was more common than anyone wanted to admit, that surviving it was possible. 1 year after everything began, I had Sunday dinner with my parents. We sat at the same kitchen table where I had eaten meals for years. My mother had made pot roast, my favorite. My father asked about my work, about Sarah, about my life. The conversation was easier now, more natural. We had learned to talk around the absence, to build something new on top of the broken foundation. As I was leaving, my father walked me to the door. He put his hand on my shoulder. You saved us, you know. We would have lost everything if you had given up. You kicked me out. You chose Amanda over me without question. I know. His voice was thick. That will haunt me for the rest of my life. But you did not give up on us. Even when we gave up on you, that is who you are. That is the son we raised, even if we forgot it for a while. I drove back to my studio apartment, parked and sat in the car for a moment, looking up at the building that had become home. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Dinner tomorrow? There is a new Italian place I want to try. I smiled and texted back. Sounds perfect. I got out of the car and walked inside. The apartment was small and spare, but it was mine. Every piece of furniture I had bought myself. Every dish in the cabinet I had chosen. This space represented my independence, my survival, my ability to build a life from nothing when everything was taken away. I thought about the person I had been a year ago, living in my parents' house, saving for a future that seemed secure and certain. That person had trusted too easily, had put family loyalty above self-preservation, had believed that doing the right thing would be rewarded. That person was gone. In his place was someone harder, warier, but also stronger. Someone who knew his own worth. Someone who understood that sometimes the people who should protect you will fail you, and you have to protect yourself. I did not just survive my sister's betrayal. I became someone who could save my family from it. Someone who could help other families survive their own betrayals. Someone who turned trauma into purpose. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find out what actually matters. And sometimes the people who kick you out are the ones who end up needing you most. I survived. I rebuilt. I became stronger than the betrayal that tried to destroy me. And that was worth more than any room in any house. That was worth everything. So, I want to ask you, has anyone in your family ever betrayed your trust? How did you handle it? Did you find the strength to stand up for yourself? Or did you walk away? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else going through the same thing. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps others find these stories when they need them most. And if you want to hear more real-life stories about overcoming family betrayal, workplace injustice, and personal struggles, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Share this story with someone who might need to hear it, someone who is struggling with family issues or feeling alone in their fight. Sometimes knowing that others have survived similar situations is the lifeline people need. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope that wherever you are in your own journey, you find the strength to keep fighting for yourself. You deserve to be believed. You deserve to be protected. And you are worth so much more than the people who betray you will ever understand. Take care of yourselves. Stand up for yourselves. And remember that surviving is just the first step. Thriving is the goal. You can get there. I believe in you.